Man, y'all see it on the screen, but y'all just don't know. This is the man. This is the king of sports medicine in Mississippi and beyond. Dr. Burgess is joining us tonight. He does sports medicine. That's his expertise. He has his own podcast as well. Time Out with the Sports Doctor. So make sure y'all follow him. And he's also going to be dropping some regular content on the pregame network in 2025. But when this Kyrie Irving injury happened, with that being his expertise, we wanted to have him come on. Let's just talk about the world of ACL and sports. Doc, how you making this Thursday night?
Hey, thank you for having me on. I appreciate the invitation, Doc and Chico. I'm glad to be on the show.
Yeah, yes, absolutely, man. Glad to have you here, Doc. Before we get into the specifics of Kyrie injury, I know you're not treating him and didn't witness him, just in general conversation. Answer me this, man. Is it because we have so much access to information now, or ACL injuries really like on the rise? It just seems more and more common than it used to be.
So I think it's a combination of the two things. So we hear so much information so quickly, so we hear about the injuries before you even have a diagnosis now. And you're saying, hey, MRI is pending or special tests are being done. But I think ACL injuries are on the rise in certain populations, especially in younger sports, because we have kids playing high-level sports at such a young age. And we know that the more they're exposed to the sport, the higher their risk of injury is. So I think it's the two things. I think injuries are on the climb, as well as we hear about it so much because of social media and, just having 24-hour sports coverage.
It's coming to me because coming from playing sports and stuff, you always hear about ACL injuries, MCL injuries, and the ACLs usually seem to take the longest, or it's kind of like the one you don't want to hear, when you have an injury. So how long do you think Kyrie will be out with his injury?
So in general, when you have an ACL injury, your recovery is about 9 to 12 months. Now, the more we know about ACL. So you mentioned our ages. So let's go back 30 years ago. People were coming back from ACL injuries in 3 to 4 months. And then just 10 to 15 years ago, it was coming for people to come back in about 6 months. But now we know that the longer you stay out, the lower your risk of re-injury. And we also know that really the biology, your muscles might look normal, you might feel normal, but it takes the ACL a certain amount of time to heal in. And if you don't give that time for the ACL ligament to heal, then your risk of re-tear is longer. So on average, most people are taking 9 to 12 months. And that's and you mentioned we don't get everything. So when we hear on the news, we get the Cliff Notes version. We don't really know, okay, there's 4 main ligaments. Did he tear an MCL? Is it only an ACL? Does he have other things going on? Did he tear a meniscus? Does he have cartilage injury? Did he have any previous damage? So we don't really know that. We just hear ACL and automatically say he'll be back in 9 to 12 months, but we really don't know.
Wow. And are these, let me ask this one real quick. Are these injuries, ACL injuries, more common in any sport? Is it more common in basketball over football or anything of that nature?
So especially with females, we see a lot in basketball as well as soccer. So in males, we see a lot in football, simply, I think, because of the amount of people playing football. But ACL injuries tend to be a non-contact sport. Non-contact injury, meaning that you run and you jump, you land awkwardly, or you try to change direction and that knee just kind of buckles on you and it pops the ACL. So there's, like you said, basketball, especially soccer, those sports are high risk for ACL injuries.
Yeah, that's sudden stop and get you, man. I was trying to pick which urinal I was going to go to and went to a quick stop and tried to go the other way. Man, my knee buckled. I said,
come on now, dog.
Yeah, I can't.
You got to be careful as you age. You got to be careful. You don't have to be dunking the ball
like I used to, Doc. Like, I used to be able to pivot with the best of them. Now I got to slow that train down. Doc, when you look at, I want to do a football question. Turf versus grass. Do you find one is more of an enemy than the other?
So some of the earlier generations of turf were really bad as far as injuries, but now turf used to be almost like yellow, green carpet laid on top of concrete. Now, it's really granular. It gives more. So there's a lot of studies that really look at the playing surface. Anecdotally, it seems like turf is higher, but most of the studies come back and show that the playing surface really doesn't matter as much. But when you're on a playing surface, if you're on turf, you need to have correct shoe wear. You can't just wear regular cleats and play on turf fields. So that all is still a big debate about turf.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, my
I
next
had a
question to you, Doc, is Chico, you got two in a row now. I'm gonna call my uncle
go ahead. Go
Byron.
ahead. I was just going to piggyback off the turf because I played in the Superdome before they changed their turf. And I'm old. Before they changed their turf, and man, in pre-games, I had never played on that type of turf. But in pre-game, I was just running routes, and I tried to cut like I did on grass. It was
It's
the
different.
worst feeling I ever had. I didn't tear anything at the time, but it felt like I did, and I just knew then you have to be careful with how you cutting out on the turf as opposed to the grass. So that's all. That's all I had to add my
Yeah,
little
then,
2
then you
cents.
know the shoes matter, like the
Yeah,
kind of cleats you're wearing, the surface conditions, and did it rain that weekend? You go through a lot of stuff with sports equipment guys, Doc, and to make sure the guys are outfitted properly to prevent the most.
Yeah.
So let me ask you one about youth sports. All right, coming up, particularly on the baseball side of thing, particularly with pitchers. When guys get to college and of course beyond, you'll see them like on a pitch count to prevent Tommy John and other kind of injuries. But like no one's really focusing on that in the little league and travel ball. And so you have what I've seen in my sports stuff is like these injuries now are becoming younger and younger in sports. And talk about what happens that way and how you can better prepare in youth sports going forward to manage your body.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because, like you mentioned, by the time you make it to college or pro, you're going to be really regulated. But one of the main problems we see in youth sports is that even though some leagues will have a pitch count, you have kids playing on 2 and 3 different teams. So it's really up to the parents to keep up with the pitch count. And if your parents are pushing you even more than the coaches are, that's a really bad problem. So you might have a kid. You can go to the MLB does have pitch counts now that they recommend for kids from 9 and 10. What pitches you should be throwing, what pitches you should avoid. No curveballs. You should be 9, 10, 11-year-olds should be throwing fastballs and changeups. And they should only be pitching this amount of pitches, and then they should have a 2 or 3 day break. However, when you're playing on multiple teams, that's a problem. Or when you're playing pitcher and then they take you out of the game from pitcher and sit you at catcher where you're going to throw every play, that's another problem. So you really have to be, because what we see with youth sports is that they have these open growth plates. So they're still growing, and there's certain places in the bone where you grow from, and that you can have those injury around those growth plates, or you could even pull off a piece of bone. So there's a lot of injuries that you can get from youth sports simply from being overused or playing too much.
And if you just joined us, of course, this is Uncle Chico live on Thursday nights. Our special guest, Dr. Derek Burgess, the sports doctor. Look, I see that Walter Payton up behind you. I got my J hat on. One of the roles you serve is sports medicine for Jackson State football, and then there's just this greater community. Tell us about your coming up and when you decided to go into sports medicine, as your trade of choice.
Yeah, so I had an injury in high school, which allowed me to start to shadow my orthopedic surgeon. This was in high school, and he served as a mentor for me. He allowed me to come back during college, during medical school, and it was a blessing. I'm really, I say it's not often that you get to live your dream. I'm truly living my dream. So I decided that I wanted to go into sports medicine. I didn't really even know everything that it entailed. I said, hey, I want to go to college and major in sports medicine. Now, is that a major? Yeah, but not much. I didn't really know that you needed to go to med school. So it started off as a dream, and I just kind of one step pursued it, and it ended up working out for me. So, to get there, for people that might not know, so I did 4 years of undergrad at Xavier University. Shout out Xavier
HBCU.
University, HBCU, Beta Iota chapter, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. All right. So after that, went to Howard University for 4 years of medical school. I did 1 year of general surgery and then 5 years of orthopedics. So, and then 1 year of sports medicine. So we're talking 15 years post high school to start my first job, so it's a lot of training, but it's worth it. I really appreciate being able to interact with athletes from, the minor leagues to the Pee Wee, all the way through college and professional athletes, because I really appreciate being able to form that relationship. because you come to see me for whatever your injury is, and then I'm going to hit you with, so how's your GPA? What's your ACT score? And, that really catches them off guard, but it allows me to really just get to know them as a person more so than just treating the injury. So I feel some of the greatest relationships that I've formed have been with former athletes or athletes that I've treated because I really try to get to know them as a person.
Whether it's at Jackson State or now in my role of covering Colorado football, I'm immersed in both programs and been around guys when a play happens and it goes the wrong way. And one of the things I have witnessed is when a person like yourself, the team doctor, runs out on the field, and how y'all can hold up somebody's leg like by their heel and relax and can tell a preliminary test if it's an ACL or MCL. What are y'all feeling for when you just bounce somebody's leg up and down and go like, yep, it's torn?
Yeah. So examining the knee, one of the first things we grab the leg and we're trying to stabilize the thigh. And then we have the lower part of the leg. So the actual leg part with the tibia in our hands. And the ACL connects the femur to the tibia. So when it's torn, you have more motion of your tibia coming forward. And it also kind of pivots wrong. So that initial check, you're checking for the stability of the knee. You're seeing if it's coming too far forward. And then you'll often see them kind of stress it side to side. So you're checking for like an MCL, LCL tear. But when they're relaxed right then, sometimes that's the best exam because a couple of hours, they're going to be swollen. They're going to be guarding you. Once they're stiff and then they're having a lot of pain, you might not get a good exam for another couple of days. So, yeah. But when we run on the field, it's almost like you're in the ER. You're in the zone at that point, and you're trying to take care of the athlete, trying to get them to calm down so you can try to assess them the first time.
Drew Lyon says he loves to see a black man in a white coat, period. That's what I'm talking about.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
African Americans only make up less than 2% of orthopedic surgeons in the United States. So, I really enjoy what I do.
Chuck Bishop had a question. Charles Bishop from Inside the HBU Sports Lab. Why do more ACL injuries happen at Giant Stadium? Or is it seems that way?
I don't know why they happen in Giant Stadium. Yeah. Now the Giant Stadium, are they on turf or are they in natural grass?
Yeah, they're turf now, right?
Yeah, they got to be turf. Yeah, because they're in the dome, the old dome, so they got to be turf.
Yeah.
I don't know. They need to get a different turf maker or something.
Y'all got a question for Doc? Get it in the chat. Shout out to Aretha Burton on becoming a member to the platform. We appreciate that. If y'all have a question for the chat for our guests from the chat, make sure you type it. We'll get to it. If it's a super chat, it gives us a special notification. So don't hesitate for that as well. Doc, I want to talk about prevention for a second, man. This is spring ball, strength and conditioning is going on. The staff the strength and conditioning staff gets players ready to turn them over to the football side. What are some of the things that you look for from a strength and conditioning that can help prevent these injuries later on?
Yeah, so strength and conditioning, athletic training staff are often overlooked as how important they are in getting athletes ready for their season. So I think strengthening is very important. A lot of times athletes, especially if you're not at a major program, you might not even have a strength and conditioning coach. So many times you're doing the same workouts over and over, but a really good strength and conditioning coach is going to look at your deficits. They might have you doing ballet class. They might have you doing yoga because they know that to prepare the whole body for a long season, you need to be flexible and you need to be strong. So I think some of the things that are often overlooked is core strength, as well as like your hamstring and glute strength. So, we work our quads, we work our chest, we work our biceps, things that you can see in the mirror, but it's the small things that you really need to work on and work on stretching. So for ACLs, one thing we talked about changing direction. So there's programs. I trained in a program, sports metrics program, where they teach you how to properly land, especially for female athletes, how to properly land, how to properly change direction, because it's that neuromuscular training that in those split second decisions when you're cutting and pivoting, if you already know how to react with your body and how to place your body, you can prevent some of these injuries.
Love it. Chico, what you got?
And that's the Bo Jackson jersey back there. Shout out to Alabama. That's the Bo Jackson jersey.
No, that's Peyton. That's Peyton.
Hey, I got Walter Payton. He's in the closet. I do have Walter Payton.
Original 35.
Yeah.
Original 34.
No.
Why you think
Shout out
Bo- why
Herb
you think
Mulligan
Bo
that
Ward?
broke Walter Payton's record this year as well.
Hey, but I would
Herb.
think this, Doc. We had a discussion a couple of shows ago about which injury would you that had never happened would have changed the history of sports, and I said Bo Jackson.
Yeah,
Bo
absolutely.
Jackson. If Bo Jackson's hip doesn't get injured, what he was about to do in football and baseball was just going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love watching Bo play. I grew up an Auburn fan, so Bo Jackson's always top of the list.
Most
We
definitely.
need your Dukes on view. Mark Francois says, Doc, thank you for choosing this path. You are appreciated. You're standing in this space makes us believe we can as well. Appreciate that shout out, Mark.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes,
You know, Doc
indeed.
happens to belong to a fraternal organization where the fundamental purpose is achievement. So it's just kind of what we do.
Can you talk about your upbringing in Mississippi? No, can you talk about your upbringing in Mississippi and well, just about coming up as a youngster and how that led you on your path to where you are now?
So similar to you, I'm actually from Alabama. I'm from Muscle Shoals, Alabama. So I grew up in North Alabama, product of the public schools. I like to say that I am the grandson of indentured servants. I'm the son of parents who integrated the public schools in Alabama. My mother was first generation college, and I'm first generation physician. So I was always brought up to appreciate the sacrifices that other people made for me. To be able to be in the position that I am. It's not by chance. So I feel that my family really shaped me. They gave me a good work ethic as a child and made me believe. They gave me the tools that I needed to be able to get to where I am now. So, I love trying to give back to other people because I know that mentorship was big for me. So that all played a role in making me who I am now.
And not just a physician, Doc. I don't mean no harm to physicians, but a surgeon.
Yeah.
Surgeon, Chico. What's the longest surgery you had, Doc? How long you standing in there?
Yeah, so I mean, surgeries can be long. The longest one I remember is when I was training, and we were in there for almost about 12 to 14 hours. And I won't forget it because there was the Auburn was playing in the national championship game that night against Oregon, and I'm an Auburn fan, so that was a huge deal for me.
A 14-hour surgery.
Yeah, no, it was a long one. Yeah, but typically my surgeries last about sometimes 3 to 4 hours for some of the bigger surgeries, especially when you're doing multiple ligament reconstruction and things of that nature. It can be a longer surgery.
I know you specialize in orthopedic surgery and sports medicine, but is there something you can operate on for Chico because he has a problem reading and comprehending? And maybe there's like I said, I know. Look, I know it might be outside.
I'm about to read the mute button and press that button. That's what I'm about to do.
We just want to try anything. Maybe there's a surgical approach that we could remove.
Man, he's doing a great job here, so he's got me fooled. So
I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Doc. Any shout outs you want to give before we get up out of here, Doc? I know we had you for a good little while. We want to bring you back too, to discuss some injuries in the future. So give some shout outs to your people, man, because you're on this platform right now.
And your podcast. Let them know where to find you.
Yes.
So Time Out with the Sports Doctor podcast. You can find me on all platforms. You can also find me on YouTube, and I have a website, Derek Burgess MD, or that one for my podcast is The Sports Doctor, Dr. Derek, thesportsdoctor.com. You can find all my stuff there. I do want to give one shout out, and I talked to my cousin right before coming on. He said to tell you, hello, Neely, Brendan, who's going through some things medically, really fighting through right now. So we love you, Brendan. He's a huge Coach Prime fan, been following him since Jackson State. He's been to Jackson State games. He's been to Colorado. So, hey, Brendan, we love you. We're fighting along with you.
Hey, and make sure I get his address. And we'll send him something from Coach Prime.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I'll do that.
We'll do that. Doc, we appreciate you coming on, and we know that you're not going to be a stranger to the network. First of many appearances, we're going to be doing some shared content, talking about health and surgeries and all those kind of things from his perspective. So look for us with new content coming from the Sports Doc on the Pregame Network. Nope, we appreciate you dropping by, man.
Absolutely. And also from McDonald's, y'all didn't shout out when you used to go to McDonald's for your birthday party.
Oh, you old. Oh, you old. you old. You
that's just
sure
my
could have booked your birthday party. That was before Chuck E. Cheese, Doc. You old, Doc. You know, you might be old.
Hey, I got some grades up here, you know.
We
Appreciate you, Doc.
brother.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, man. Another great informative segment right there from Uncle Chico live. Y'all put an 09 in the chat if y'all like that right there. Put an 09 in the chat. Damn.